Well, welcome back DIY car guys and car girls. And today, I haven't really gone over this that much. I've gone over like everything in a long video, which is the ultimate overview of tuning your Holley Ford 150. But since I'm taking this guy off of nitrous and I'm getting all my supercharger parts, I'm still slowly gathering parts, kind of not made of money. But I thought it'd be a good video until I get all those parts to start the build, that we take this guy right here, which was really set up for nitrous. I started closing the gap on the power valve, so I relied less on the power valve, more just on the main jets, front and rear. And then I started doing staggering jets, try to get all the fueling right. So what we're gonna do today is get the best economy we can get out of this guy right here, which is a 400 cubic inch small block Chevy, 430 gears, but the stall is a lot tighter because it's a nitrous stall, so it won't be flashing out really high. So we'll see what kind of gas mileage we can get. So we're gonna play with the power valve restrictions. I don't think I need to touch any of the air bleeds. I've already tried to get that, as lean as possible. So we're gonna talk about all that today. We're gonna take it out for another drive and see just how lean we can get it before it starts bucking, but we're also going to make sure that at wide open throttle, it is still safe. So today, that's what we're doing. Okay, so we have the two metering blocks off the carburetor back here. This is the front one, this is the rear one. The rear one, the power valve is blocked off. So we're only using the enrichment from the jets. These are jet extensions. The jet goes in there and that goes right there. And that is so if fuel, when you're going to the back, your fuel will kind of go like this. So that way it doesn't have any starvation. It'll draw fuel from the back of the bowl, which are these guys right here. This is the front. Front doesn't need it because obviously the fuel's going to go this way against the front. So let's first draw our attention to this guy right here, because we have two enrichment circuits that we're going to use. We're only using basically the one when you're at wide open throttle. There is the idle circuit, so I guess it's two. This will be more three, but we're just going to concentrate on the power valve and the main jets. And remember, I'll say it one more time, I'll repeat myself, the rear, we are not using the power valve circuit. Okay, so your bowl is right here, fuel's sitting in here, and it draws it in to this guy at light throttle only from these smaller jets. But what happens when you crack into it, this guy will open up. It's open right now, so this guy will be closed because there's a vacuum keeping this closed. Then it opens up, so let me show you how that works. We'll go to the back here. And then in there, we have these restrictions right here. This is where your secondary enrichment happens. It goes into the exact same channel, the main well right here, that your main jets go into, right? So basically, the smaller these are, the bigger this has to be, so that way your fueling from the front to the rear has a square fueling. So we're gonna use a little bit of math to know if we go a lot bigger on this, which I did, that we're gonna still have equal distribution from the front to the rear. I'm actually gonna have a little more in the front with this because I was looking for a 64 thousandths power valve restriction. These are 71s, I didn't have one, so we're gonna go pretty BE aggressive on the power valve restriction channels right here. So I want you guys to see, this is what I had before, which I believe is a 43. And this is a 71 thousandths. And you can see the difference. This 71 thousandths is almost the exact same size, or it's pretty much the exact same size as a 71 jet. 71 jet is, I believe, is 72 thousandths. This is 71. Like I said, the better option would have been like a 65 or a 64 thousandths. I didn't have it. I had a whole bunch of smaller ones when I was tuning this guy for nitrous. So basically what I was doing, I was relying less on the power valve for enrichment and more on the main jets, more squaring it just for race use. But if you want to do street use, you definitely want to rely on that power valve because it's going to give you way better economy. That in conjunction with the use of your low speed air bleed will get your carburetor pretty darn efficient with fuel. And here's a closer look at the restrictions that are in there right now. These are 71s. Pretty big beefy guys. This is like E85 territory power valve restrictions. If you're wondering, how do you know the diameter of your jets? Is a 84 jet a 84 thousandths diameter? No, it is not. I don't know why Holley didn't do that. ATM actually does do the diameter, so you actually know what a diameter is on their jets. Holley, they just say, I think it's based off of a flow number, so that's the flow. I'm not sure everything behind it, but for our uses, we need to know the actual diameter, and how you do that is with this guy right here. This is a pin gauge set. This particular set doesn't go lower than 61 thousandths, and the highest then it goes to 250 thousandths. So you can know exactly what the diameter is of this 84. This 84 just happens to be 94 thousandths. That is the diameter on this guy right here. Okay, so now we know the diameter of everything that we need to calculate. It's actually super, super easy. Basically, you just take the diameter and divide it by itself, so you get the radius, and you times the radius by itself to get the square of that radius. And then you do that times 3.14, which is just pi, and that gives you the area of the orifice. Pi is just a ratio. It's pretty easy. So basically, I'll walk through how you do it on a calculator. Stupid easy. Say the 84 is a 94 thousandths. So we take 0.094 divided by 2. Got the radius, and times itself, 0.047 equals, then you times that by pi, which is 3.14, equals this number right here, which is 0.006936626. That is the rear. So then you take the power valve, and then you take your front jet, and then you take both of those, get your area, add those together, and that'll let you know. If you see right here, with I think it was a 70 jet and a 71 thousandths power valve, both of them together is 0.08026, and you can see this is 6.9, so the front is still a little bit bigger than the rear, which is okay, because there's a little caveat to all this. Your power valve will actually, when you shift gears, I've noticed this. It shouldn't, but it actually kind of closes a little bit, and you'll see a slight little lean spike on the shift. So I kind of jetted up a little bigger on the front, not only for that, but everything. Let me show you this real quick. Okay, of course, metering blocks are gone. We'll put those on in a second. But think about it like this. This isn't true with every single intake. Every intake's different, at least on mine. I've noticed that the front cylinders tend to be a little bit leaner, so I will slightly fatten out the front. And my theory with this, at least with my open plenum and everything that goes on with this guy, is everything has mass, right? So the fuel going down, even though it's suspended, it's atomized and wide open throttle, it's still going to kind of pull a little more to the back of the engine. So the fuel's going to go in and kind of drift a little bit, right? Because the more horsepower, the more G-forces go that way. So it's going to kind of pull that fuel. So I'm going to jet up mine a little fatter on the front. Now yours may be totally different than that. That's just kind of my theory and why mine does that. It probably has more to do with the intake, but that's why everyone loves to go to sequential fuel injection, because you can get specific fueling to each cylinder and make it safer. So in a carburetor, the only way to do that is to jet up from corners, go a little fatter on this jet, and it'll kind of promote a little more fuel over here, or go, if it's too fat over there, you can go a little leaner on this, it'll promote this slightly less fueling over there, because there's a lot of chaos that goes on in that intake. It is a very, very chaotic environment drawing that fuel in there, because your engine isn't like a clean suck, it's more of a pulse. You watch the dyno videos, it'll like pulse, 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 pulse when your motor is pulling it through. And it kind of looks like, almost like fuel injection, but it's not. It's just a natural pulsing your motor to get what it wants to all those cylinders. Okay, so it's kind of late. So we're going to ixnay the riding out tonight, wait until the morning, and then we'll take it out and see if we actually made a difference on our economy before it's getting like 9 miles to the gallon. So we'll see if we can get more than 9 doing it this way. And we're pretty aggressive on the power valve So we got pretty small jets. So I think that's going to help a good bit. Hopefully it doesn't have like a huge lean spike whenever we shift. As long as it stays in the 13s and it comes back down, should be fine. Because this is how your typical street guy would do it. In the 13s for a shift, ain't gonna hurt nothing. I've done this on my L21 and it got really good gas mileage. I think it was almost like 16 something, 16 or 15 to 16 on a carburetor, V8, really high gear, not bad. I mean, not as good as fuel injection, but for a carburetor, not bad.
Okay, so check this out. Reviewed the footage, and we are definitely having some low speed pulsing, bucking, drivability issues. Watch the wide band. See, it goes from 15, watch this, shift gears, boom, pegs down to 20. So it's doing some pulsing, so that's not good. I'm not sure if that really big spread is gonna work on the power valve restrictions. We'll try. Later on, I'm probably gonna go, look, see right there, it went to 20. We're probably going to go to a shorter spread here in the future, but we'll give this a try. Let's go do a wide open throttle pull, see what it does. Here we go. Going to crack into it, and it's going to go lean for a second, but then it's going to recover. Boom, went down to 20, but it recovered good, and the air fuel is actually pretty darn decent. You know, 13.2 is the highest it goes in the shift, so that's actually not bad. Pulling good at high speed throttle, but our low speed is definitely all out of whack. Let's see if we can't fix that.
Okay, so I did a little bit of bucking when light throttle, and also when you stabbed at it, it went dead lean for a second, then came back down. So what we're gonna do to fix that is right here. So let me explain kind of more how this works, because I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, just go up on the idle air screws and it'll fix it. Yes, it will fix it, but it's not fixing it correctly, because you don't need all that fuel at idle. All you do is bring up your whole fuel curve so it's fatter, but you're not giving the motor where it wants fuel off to hit. You're just raising the entire fuel curve, making it less efficient. So let me show you how we're gonna fix that off idle hit. So I got a metering block right here to illustrate this. This is an 85 metering block. So all the fuel that goes into your metering block comes in between your two main jets and of course your power valve. Your power valve's closed and you're just kind of cruising along. So, but it still has to come into your main jets, up here to this restriction right here, then down into your base plate, which gives it idle. At idle, you're not using your main jets, you're just using your idle circuit. And what it will do, the smaller, it shouldn't, because this restriction is so much smaller right here, this little jet right here, or this little restriction is so much smaller than your main jet. You think it wouldn't be a difference when you go smaller in these, but it does. This will definitely change your idle air. Now, mine probably could use a little more idle air, but we're not gonna touch that yet. We're gonna change our accelerator pump cams right here. I'm going from that one to this one, just on the front, and I'll show you what that's gonna do for your diaphragm. It's just gonna give you more of a pump shot. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this guy here. And there's two holes. This just changes the angle. You can make it a little more aggressive right here, so it has a little more pump shot in the beginning. And this one I've actually shaved down. This is something I've used in the past. We're gonna try it on this right now. See if it fixes that off-hit stumble. We're just gonna put it right there. You see your pump arm went down right there. Let me go ahead and put this guy in. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I wish they had a little, really easy to drop these things, guys. So let's go ahead and get her in there. Come on, don't you fall. Got her. And there. And this makes this pump arm, this diaphragm go down. See this right here? And the fuel comes out right here. Let me show you. So pump arm. Watch this. And this has to be set up a certain way due to your pump arm. You don't want it to bottom out on your diaphragm. I'm not going to bottom out because I'm using 50cc pumps on here, so I have plenty of wiggle room to do what I want. But if you notice, right when you hit it, it's that little shot of fuel, and that is all your off idle hit. You can't not pull enough fuel through your bowls out here to your boosters fast enough. So you need this mechanical pump shot to make sure it doesn't stumble. So that stumble will be fixed by this right here. At least we hope so.
So of course, our just low speed is still pretty bad. It's surging, she's bucking, she's not happy whenever I just barely crack into the throttle. But we're just gonna see if we can't get that off idle or cruise, stabbing at it, stumble to disappear just with the cam change. So back out here, we're gonna stab at it and boom, fixed it. You can see that. No stumble, she's just pulling good, right on through the gears. So our high speed is good, but our low speed is still an issue. I'm just gonna cruise here a little bit, give it some throttle, watch the fueling. It's okay when you're just barely hitting it, but the moment you give it some throttle, it's gonna start doing some bucking and weird stuff. So we still gotta fix the low speed. Like I said, I don't think we can do it this big old spread. Yep, the F20, see that? Yeah, that's not good. So not sure if we can fix this with this big old spread from the power valve, but we're gonna try, and if not, we'll have to go another direction here.
Okay, so as you saw, we didn't touch anything. The only thing we changed was the accelerator pump can timing for the primaries. Instead of having a hesitation when you first stab at it, and now goes right on through the gears, no lean spot, with no hesitation. And I want you guys to see that because you don't have to touch any of this stuff like power valve, all that, to make that work. Now you did see that it's still lean when I'm just barely cracking into the throttle and I'm just cruising. It's still going lean and it's still surging, bucking a little bit. So what we're gonna do to fix that, we know that this needs to come out a little more. At least the idle air could make such a drastic change to the jetting and the power valve enrichment channel. I'm also going to go from a 4.5 to a 6.5 power valve. So next, we're going to do this. We're going to give it a little more fuel on the idle, raise that up just a tad. We're going to give it a 4.5 to a 6.5 to bring in the fuel enrichment a little sooner, and we're going to take it out and see how that works. If that doesn't fix it, then we're going to go to our low speed air bleeds, and that will fatten it up just a little bit more as you're cruising.
Okay, so this is several tries and several changes later. I just don't think that big old long spread in the power valve restriction channels is going to work. This motor just wants too much demand down low and the power valve can't keep up. The air bleeds, I've changed the air bleeds from a 76 down to a 68. I even changed the power valve from a 6.5 to a 7.5. It kind of helped, but we're still getting surging at very light throttle and low speed conditions. So it's just not able to keep up. So what we're gonna have to do, I don't have any 60 thousandths or 65 thousandths restrictions. The only largest size I have is a 57. So we're gonna make some changes, kind of go back, because I'm just gonna abandon this big old long spread. It probably would have got really good gas mileage, but we're definitely having some low speed issues, and we gotta fix that. It has to be drivable, not just, you know, really good gas mileage and a bunch of lean spikes.
Okay, so this is what I did. We're gonna take it out one more time. Let me explain what I did. We got the high speed air bleeds, or this is stock when it came with the brawler. This is a 76 on the low speed, front and rear, 76, 76, 76, 76. Rear jetting is 84. Front jetting, 76. Power valve restriction channel is 57 thousandths. 4.5 power valve. And of course, the same cams, accelerator pumps we've had in there the entire time. And one thing I forgot to mention, this is what I have on mine. I have mine down to a second hole right here, so that way it brings in the secondaries a little sooner, but you can still drive around on just the primaries. So other than that, this is a stock brawler with those mods. Okay, so we're driving a new setup, and I'm going to tell you right now, this setup is winner chicken dinner for this 400 small block Chevy. Every time that I goose it a little bit, give it some gas, it'll get down to around, 13s or 12s when I start rolling into the throttle. When I let out the throttle, it'll be the 13s to 14s and high 15s. Is very light throttle, which isn't going to hurt anything. I'm telling you right now, that little bit of leanness right there is fine when you're not really under a big load. But the moment you start cracking into it, it'll go exactly where it needs to be. See that? 13s, 12s, every single time. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to give it a little throttle here every now and then just to check the air fuel, make sure it's looking good. And of course, it is looking pretty darn good. So I'm just going to check it just a little more, make sure it's not doing anything dumb. And this is very important, guys. When you're checking your air fuel, make sure that your motor is completely warm, not cold. So I'm giving a thumbs up saying, yep, it's good, it's good. So I'm going to do a little second gear pull here to 7,000 RPM just to check out the air fuel. So here we go. I'm going to start around 4,000, stab at it, and 12.4, 12.5, 13.0 on the high shift, fine. We are good to go. Nothing wrong with that tune-up. Okay, and finally, we're going to do the miles per gallon test. I just filled it up right to where it's starting to kiss the edge of that frame where the cap goes. See right there? It's just dancing on the edge. So what we're going to do, we're going to drive around. I have a round trip. We're going to take the mileage. Then we come back. We're going to fill it up and see exactly how much fuel it used. And then we can calculate what it's going to be, our miles per gallon. So all we got to beat is 9 miles to the gallon. I'm not sure how much more it's going to be because this is a 430 gear, 400 cubic inch small block Chevy, solid roller cam, and I'm just trying to barely tap the gas. But you can see it actually is. It's performing perfect, like 14.2, 14.3, 14.4. Sometimes it goes into the 15s, no big deal. That's just kind of on and off the pedal just a slight little bit. But we're up there around 3,000 all the entire time, and I'm trying to cruise around. I'm telling you right now, it's really hard to keep your foot out of the gas in this truck. It just begs you to hit it. But we're just going to be very composed, and I'm just going to do my best to make this round trip, and hopefully no one in a V6 Charger or Mustang tries to race me because I'm just going to have to crack into it. But it didn't happen, so let's go ahead and get it back to my house, and we'll put the gas in it and calculate our miles to the gallon. Oh no. There we go. Actually, it's a little more full than it was before. All right, guys, so drum roll, here it is. So this is where we started off at, and this is where we ended up off at. And I just took that measurement and gave it a little more. And if you take this guy right here, I know this isn't perfect, but it's the best we can do. From 3 to 4, it's right at 6 millimeters, and that puts it at 1.5 gallons is what it took to make that trip. So let's go over the route real quick. So to get there, it was 8.8. I didn't go that little distance right there. I just went from here, and then when I came back, I went back out that way in a loop. So it's more 8.7 there and 8.6 back. So that gives us a round trip of 17.3 miles, and it used 1.5 gallons. So let's just divide that by 1.5, and that gives us 11.5 miles to the gallon. Still not that great, but the LT1 definitely did better, I think, because it had a 390 rear gear, plus it was only 355 cubic inches, and that 750 was just a freak of nature. It just got incredibly good gas mileage, and I was a little more aggressive on the power valve enrichment channels. So this being what it is, that's what it is. The best we can get with this guy. 400 cubic inch small block Chevy, 430 gears, non-lockup converter. It was 11.5 miles to the gallon.